Hey, my name is Cetoute, born and raised in Miami, Haitian and Bahamian, descent from the islands, representing, and this is my life.
Try to overlook a rival. All eyes on me cause I got no competition. Now looking at an idol. You're doing long enough to pay for my attention. I was born to be glorious. Most definitely glorious. I'm destined to be glorious. Through all I hate to display to remain glorious. I was born to be glorious. Most definitely glorious.
There was ever a time to flip a property, $1 million home, this is the time.
Man, my journey began actually like in the band room. I was actually a trumpet player, and I played the trombone and the tuba. I really didn't get into football until my junior year in high school. The coaches wanted me to play so bad, so I finally went in and gave it a shot, and it was the best decision of my life to date. My peoples wasn't feeling it, especially moms. Was afraid of me getting hurt. My dad wasn't for it. If you know anything about a Haitian household, a Bahamian island household, everybody wants you to be a doctor, a lawyer, all those 9-to-5, situations. But, for me, I aspired to something else, So I actually, rebelled and said, nah, I ain't gonna do that. So I just went straight to football, and, I was content with it, My road to college, playing college football, I actually took the long route. I played 1 year in high school football, and then I went to a D2 school up in Michigan for a semester, came back down, and actually trained with Channing Crowder and Terry Kirby. Those guys really took me under their wings, and I learned a lot from those guys. They trained me before heading out to the U. So went to the U, I got a partial scholarship, and the other half was academics, And came on the team, and those guys embraced me, and it was then on from I had to work, I had to prove myself every day. Everybody knows when you go to college, it's not easy, especially being a football player. It's actually, they say it's football first and school second. In the locker rooms. So. You need somebody to be in your ear to keep you going, to be that mentor for you. And everybody knows from the U, Coach Swayze was that guy for me, So he took me under his wing and really mentored me to this day. I still talk to him to this day. And one thing about Swayze, he's gonna be on your ass. If you slacking, I remember that one time I came 2 minutes late to weights. Oh, the next day I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning running. So stuff like that, putting discipline in you, and that person being above your shoulders to kind of pave the way for you. It was a great experience. I'm the middle child. There's 3 of us. I'm the middle child, and we didn't grow up with much. I'm from Liberty City, so everybody know Miami. You know how it is down there. So I was looked at as the one to actually make it. To actually help the family out. So when that happened, it was crazy, and I just told my siblings, hey man, you go ahead and do what you gotta do, do what you gotta do. And it was one of those situations where it was tough. I really sat out for 9 months, just being on the couch, damn, football's over with, what I'm gonna do. That's all I knew at that time, So I really took some time out to really look at it and be man, am I gonna be that one of those guys that, man, he used to play, and what happened to him? I had to really check myself, still talking with Swayze, during those times, and Swayze's hey man, you gotta get up, you gotta do something. You can't just be, in the couch, not doing anything. And as a ball player, it's hard, man. It's all you dream about, making to the NFL, to provide for your family. But not only that, the love of the game. What do I look like? 250, 6'4", working at Walmart or something like that. Take them you always get those questions man, you should be playing football. You should be playing football. You swole, you big. You look like a football player. Who you play for? You know, to this day, I still get those, those comments, you know what I mean? So right now, I'm good, but fresh, not playing no more, like, you hurt. That's that hurt, man. But, God had other plans, and I just took it one day at a time. That's the best thing I could tell you right now. I had a career-ending injury. It actually started in high school, my junior year. I actually tweaked my hamstring from that time. And anybody, any athlete who knows about, hamstrings, those things, they lingering. So they come and go, So, it caught up to me again. And, it's one of those situations where I had to let it go after trying out for a couple of teams and seeing how, it was very aggravating. I had to choose, do I still play and make the injury worse and not be able to walk again? That's what the doc say, like, hey, if you give it one more pull, man, you ain't gonna be able to walk. So I had to make that decision and, walk away from the game. It wasn't easy, but, I like my health first, you know what I mean? Real estate, like, it really came to me at an early age, because my father took in, like, my aunt. She immigrated from Haiti on my mom's side, so she had nowhere to go. So, man, it was about 12 of us in a 2-bedroom house, 800 square feet, cramped, sleeping in bunk beds, So growing up, that was our lifestyle. So for me, I always had to, had it in my head, like, dang, you know what? When I make it, like, I want to be able to provide families, like, with a nice home, like, space, So I never had my own bed growing up. Like, I always shared, fridge, you share, like, food, like, you share. So it was one of those things that at an early age, like, at that age, I'm like, man, like, I really want to be able to, like, build, you know what I mean? So other families, won't have to go through what I go through, you know what I mean? And then from there, those 9 months of, chilling on the couch, I took on and watched, like, HD TV, so I started seeing, like, those properties and stuff like that getting flipped up and boom, boom. And I always loved real estate, so I said, you know what? Let me take my chance on this, create my own narrative. So I took a shot, man, and got my real estate license, and did the realtor thing for a little bit. And, it wasn't for me. I ain't like showing people cribs, like 30 cribs at one time, and they control my money, because it's commission. So I just turned to, like, you know what? I actually want to, like, renovate, the cribs, because at that point, if I have the real estate, I can have better control, like, what the outcome gonna be. So my first real estate deal was actually my own childhood home. I bought it from my parents, and I actually renovated the whole thing. Top of the line, we did everything, roof, I'm talking about you name it, bathroom, kitchen, new floors, landscape, everything. Did all that, spent about $80,000 in there. That was my first one, and I actually allowed my parents to stay there for free. That was the best thing I could do for them, and that was my first deal. And I shocked myself. I'm like, dang, like, I had trial and error. I learned some things along the way. I messed up, a little bit, on some money as far as, paying certain people certain things. But other than that, it was a great experience, to start, where you actually grew up in, to be able to see how the house looked from when we was growing up to where it is right now. It's like night and day. Like, people think that someone else, other than the color of my skin, owned that house right now. Like, nah, this house look too good to be, But it is what it is, and that's how I got started with actually doing renovations, you know what I mean?
Who took a risk to initially just get you in the game?
Actually, my dad was the one who gave me a chance, because he didn't have to sell me the house. And being immigrant descent, like, owning property is like the biggest thing ever, because we couldn't buy houses back in the day. If you look like me, you couldn't buy a house, and talked it over with my mom, and they decided to say, hey son, we know we ain't got no money to give you, You know, the house is paid off. You know, we believe in you. We're gonna give you a chance. And to this day, man, like I told my dad, I said, hey, man, like wherever my real estate career take me, being a developer, I owe it all to you, because without that duplex, you know, I wouldn't be, you know, doing $1 million properties right now today.
What made you skip over regular $300,000, $200,000 homes and dive into the multi-million-dollar property arena?
Kobe Karp, man. Kobe Karp is, if you guys don't know who he is, he's one of the best architects in the world. And I remember meeting him, and like throughout, you know, the ladder of my career, I met him. And after I renovated the duplex, I was like, hey, Kobe, man, check this out, man. This is what I did, boom, boom. You know, I've been watching you, and, you know, and he been mentoring me. And he was just so like, I don't know, something like that, like this guy done like billions of dollars worth of real estate. Like, you would think that he just, you know, whatever. But he's like, yo, like you got something. And he said, you know what, I'm gonna take you under my wing, and hey, if you can do that on a $300,000 house, you can do the same thing on a bigger scale on a $5 million house. You know what I mean? And I owe it all to him as far as jumping into the multi-million-dollar industry. And he's just been that guy that's, you know, that right-hand man that's been like guiding me through, you know, watching him work, seeing him work, you know. So it was a scary thing, like jumping into it, because you know, he's seeing all those zeros, like coming from where I'm coming from, like, yo, like that's a lot of money. But, you know, he taught me not to be afraid of money, not to be afraid of those zeros, you know what I mean? Like, hey, take it on, just like playing football, the same thing. Like, okay, you gotta fight the next opponent, you gotta own it. And, you know, just being under his leadership and seeing like how he moving, you know, how he maneuver and how he does his thing, it made me a lot, you know, comfortable to dive into the $1 million properties, you know what I mean? I mean, Kobe taking that risk on me meant a lot to me. Honestly, it meant the world to me, man, because a guy of that caliber, you know, and his tenure, like what he's done, you know, over the years, and projects he's done, like, and accolades and awards he received, for my name to be attached to him, like, I take that very seriously. I don't play about that. Humility. Yeah. That's the one thing I take from Kobe Karp. His humility. You know, it doesn't matter like when I call him or what time I call him, always answer the phone. Always text me back. This guy could be doing like a $1 billion real estate thing in Pakistan. Always respond back. Like, I was like, man, like, he don't let money change him. He ain't flashy. The dude dressed clean, and he's just chilling, you know, and he works smart. And I'm like, man, he didn't allow money to change him. And this guy from Israel, so he knows what it is to come up from nothing. You know, where I'm from, like, you know, whenever you get like $1 or something like that, you know, people come up with some money, you know, you come up with a bag, everybody wanna, you know, buy jewelry, J's, you know, you name it, just to show off the money, which is all good. But, you know, hanging out with Kobe and just seeing his humbleness, you know, I learned I learned how he thinks. He sows seeds. That's what he does. Like, the guy could do a project that takes 2 years, you know, but then the residual on the back end, what he's getting on the back end, like, to be able to afford his lifestyle, like, it's crazy. He was one of those first guys who's like, man, Isaiah, if this property's not gonna make you $1 million, we ain't gonna do it. I'm like, man, I'm fine with 100. You feel me? Like, nah, if it ain't gonna make you $1 million, you know, we're not gonna do it. I want you to make money. And I was like, whoa, man, like, it really taught me, like, yo, this guy really wants me to, like, to live good. And he's like, man, it's not only for you, but it's for people around you, for people to see that you can do it. And, you know, so that way you can touch other people. Now, like he said, now I'm gonna sow a seed in you, and I want you to sow a seed to somebody else. And I saw that, and then he told me that. I'm like, yo, man, like, that hit deep. You know, it's always good to have chains and stuff like that. You know, I have a couple chains, but, you know, I'm more so sow seeds into, you know, real estate. I sow seeds into mentoring my cousins, mentoring other people around me, you feel me, and say, hey, get into real estate. You know, like, you know, I still got a lot of friends that, you know, plays in the NFL, you know, and some friends that, you know, they retired from the game. And they trust me. They're like, you know what, Zay, man, you took a chance and this what you're doing? Hey, Zay, here you go, man. Invest in this for me. And I don't just take their bread. I be like, hey, bro, this is how we do it. Like, I break it down to them so that way they know, they understand the knowledge, the lingo, you feel me? So I'm like, bro, like, okay, it's cool to get the Maybach, but let's get a 50-unit apartment building that can pay for that Maybach tenfold. You feel me? Now it's paying for your whole lifestyle. Like, your kids, like, you know, could go to private schools and, you know, and you can afford stuff just off of somebody else, like, money that's paying you residual income, you feel me? So that's how, like, Kobe thinks. I'm like, man, everything this man owns is being paid from something else. Man, I created Real Lifestyle so I could show people you can do whatever you know, you set your mind to. Like, anybody can do this. You know, whether it's real estate, whether it's, you know, being an athlete, you know, it doesn't stop just you being an athlete. Like, we're so much more than what we play. And we can broaden our minds to, like, do other things. You know, we could be entertainers, we can be into real estate, we can be, you know, it's just about, like, knowing, you know, at the end of the day, we all got families and it's real. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to show, like, hey, you know, not just I can do it, like, anybody can do this. And enjoy the lifestyle, like, because this is essentially, like, you know, what you're gonna pass on to your kids. You feel me? Generational wealth, that's what it's all about. My day starts early, man. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's the time I used to wake up playing football, and I kept that regimen to this day. I work out by 5:30, wake up at 5. From there, you know, I meditate, I pray, do my breakfast, and get on my meetings. And throughout the whole day, I don't get home till about maybe 10 o'clock at night sometimes, just from networking, meeting people, and checking them on my projects, and sowing in seeds, you know what I mean? So, like, I gotta stay disciplined, you know, I gotta stay in it. So, you know, waking up at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, my day's already over by that time, you know what I'm saying? So, the scheduling is very important, you know what I mean? Oh man, the love life, the $1 million question, huh? Oh man, it's tough out here, man. I think it's tough, you know, I think it's tough everywhere. Not just Miami, you know, it's tough meeting somebody that, you know, you trust, that wants you for you, not just for what you do. You know what I'm saying? And coming from an athlete background, like, it's always been the case. Like, damn, do they really want you for you or what you got around you or who you hanging around with? So it's tough. You know, it's a challenge. You know, but I believe, you know, I keep doing what I gotta do and keep my eyes open. You know, I'm gonna meet that Miss Lady. You know what I'm saying? If she's very intellectual, like, she really talked to me, like, try to get to my heart, like, she asked me, like, certain questions, like, stuff like real conversations. Like, I'm talking about real conversations, talk about, like, you know, heart to heart type of situation. You ain't gotta be always deep, but just intellectual questions that, you know, you can learn about each other, like, you know, stuff like that. Like, if she's really on that game, then she'll have my attention, you know. But if it's all about material things, you know, talking about, oh, you know, the bags and all that type of stuff, the typical stuff. If it's surface level situations, you know, I just fall back. I already make myself available, you know, when it comes to the love life, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Because I always believe that, hey man, like, you make time for what you really want. If the president could, like, have time for his wife and kids, like, and he's running the country, you know, I'm no different. For me, about real estate, like, the thing that sucks for me is the permitting process. I'm talking about that very tedious, and I understand it's cool, you know, we have to have the permanent people because the work gotta be done right. But man, like, you have certain counties and certain cities where, man, they drag it out, they take forever. If you ain't got somebody on the inside, like, you know, you're in the back burner, you know what I'm saying? So for me, that's like the number one thing. The number two thing is, like, delayed in supplies. Like, if you gotta order kitchen appliances, you probably gonna be out 10 months before you get it. I do my best what I can to work around it. If it's like delayed permits, you know, I go there myself sometimes. You know, I have a permit expedite that goes there to handle that stuff, but sometimes them seeing the face of the owner, like, okay, you know what, let's try to, you know, push through the situation because the owner has the power. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just a couple months ago, we was at one of my properties that's on the water in Las Olas, and you know, me and my producer, me and my buddy, we in the back, you know, talking about, you know, we in the water, in the back, we talking, just having a normal conversation, and we left the front door open, and two dudes walk in, like, dressed up and everything, and asking us, hey, you know, what are we doing here? Like, you know, are we the yard guys? Or I'm like, I looked at dog, I let him speak, I was like, nah, dog, I'm the owner. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And I looked at him like, I was like, man, if you don't get your, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, and he was just so shocked that I was the owner. Like, I was like, yeah, this is mine, you know? So I say, man, go ahead and squeeze stuff out the door, man, you know? And it really taught me the importance of, like, ownership, man. You gotta own, you know? And that's why I do this, you know, so that way anybody can own, you know, anybody can own. Everybody can know that, anybody can own. Certain people, like, because they see my stature, like, okay, oh, he a football player, like, oh, you know, people like athletes or whatever it may be, but then you get other people that you like, they think that you're a worker, you know, they think that, like, you know, oh, where's the owner? Like, I'm not supposed to be there. And I get that a lot, yeah, and then, you know, when I tell them, like, hey, nah, I'm the owner, they're like, they straighten up, like, they're like, oh, you know, it's like shocking. It's like, this is not supposed to happen type of thing. So when I see that stuff, that's what really fuels me to make this show. I'm like, you know what, we gotta show this, man. We gotta show, you know, you gotta own this stuff. Like, you gotta, like, we could do this thing. You feel what I'm saying? So it's real out here. It's real out here, man.
How important is it to you as an athlete that athletes know that there's life beyond that sport or that craft?
Most of these guys, you know, we play the sport because that's our way out. We're first generation to make that type of bread. You feel me? So for me to be able to show guys like, yo, man, like, there's really life after this. Like, you're more than dribbling the ball or throwing the football or catching the football. You know, it's a lot more than that. And you can actually create, if you're a basketball player and you transition to doing, I don't know, broadcasting or acting, that's your new sport. You feel what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm doing football. Real estate, it's a game for me. It's the same energy, same discipline, same passion. Like, I love this. Like, it's like that grit. Like, I wake up, like, I eat, breathe, sleep, do real estate, like, develop. This is my thing. Like, I go hard, like, you know, and I look at all these other developers as my opponents, but we still cool. We can still have lunch. But okay, you did that 20 unit building over there. All right, I'm about to go 50 stories up. You know, are you in a partner with me? All right, let's do it. Let's get it. Teamwork. That's how I look at it. You know, so it was really important for me to show, like, you know, I created this platform to be able to show guys, hey, man, whatever it is that you want to do after you're done, you could do it, man. Go ham, because a lot of guys, they deteriorate, like, when they're done playing whatever they're doing. And, you know, not only just guys, women as well, too. You can do whatever you want to do.
Tried to overlook a rival. All eyes on me cause I got no competition. Now looking at an idol. You're doing long enough to pay for my attention.